Yo, what is up, guys, and welcome back to another Comiceview47 podcast. And in this podcast, we are going to review the Joker movie. And my god, is this movie one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, in my opinion. Now, obviously, this is just my opinion. A lot of people do think this, but, if you don't like the movie, let me know why in the comments. I'm going to be talking about, like, some of the good stuff, and I really can't even talk about some of the bad stuff. I couldn't, I tried looking for something bad about the movie, and I guess I can get into that in a bit. But first of all, I'm going to talk about the good stuff. And there's a lot to talk about. So, first of all, this movie is very artistic. You got the Joker dancing, like this beautifully choreographed dance that he does throughout the movie. It just kind of shows you that he kind of imagines this audience appreciating his laughter, his humor, his comedy. And during these dances, you got the cello, the violin playing in the background, like very loud, and it gives you a sense of what this movie is about. It's about Joker, wanting to have an audience. He wants people to get the joke. This was a almost a documentary of sorts of the Joker as a character, and this movie was like extremely grounded, even more than The Dark Knight. And The Dark Knight was like a very realistic movie. That's what I like about DC lately. They're doing their movies a little more grounded than Marvel. Marvel has gone very, cosmic and space and technology, and that's cool and all. But sometimes I would like to go back to the roots of what makes a superhero movie, realistic. So not to say that Marvel's bad or anything. I like both aspects. But now that DC is going back to their dark, serious, gritty roots, it's actually helping the comic book industry a lot. And one of the best things that they could do with this Joker movie was make this R rated. Now, I talked in another podcast about why we need more R rated movies, and this is exactly why. Because it kind of gives adult comic book fans a chance to really, connect with the movie. And in this case, I felt like it was like so grounded that some people could relate to the Joker with his he had some social anxiety in the movie. He had trouble with society, and a lot of people do. They need to go to therapy. And what this movie does is it just has like a lot of depth, a lot of meaning to it. It talks about how we live in a society. And the good thing is it was set in the 70s, which is a little bit more of a closed-minded time. And it kind of tells you how people interact in society, how it's kind of dangerous out there, how people can be cruel sometimes, and it's just like there's layers and layers and layers to this movie, not just with the Joker, but in real life too. It's just like it talks about how Joker just like now people finally got the joke. People kind of understood why the Joker does what he does. At least the clown gang understood. So throughout this movie, the Joker. What I really like about this movie is that it kind of escalates, and it's the pacing is very good. It's actually really good pacing. I'm surprised they were able to put this so many different aspects of this movie together. So we start off with Arthur Fleck. He's about to do another clown show. And from what I remember from the movie, he's like, he's got a sign and he gets mugged, and then he gets fired from one job, and then he gets fired from another job, and it's like, dude, it's like this guy cannot take a break. And in a way, I feel like this movie, although they say they haven't really influenced themselves from the comics, I feel like they have, or I mean, they have influence, but they haven't really gotten any direct storylines from the comics. And I feel like this references the Killing Joke, in the sense that the Joker just says one bad day is all it takes to turn a guy crazy. Now, in this case, it wasn't one bad day, but rather, a series of days, maybe 2 weeks, as I'm guessing is around this movie. And what's cool about this movie is that, they give you awareness. It's like this movie is just woke. It tells you about, mental illness, this laughing illness. Apparently, it's real. I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if you guys know if it's real. Leave a comment below if you know if this laughing, what would you call it? Like laughing disorder, I guess. If it's real, I'm not sure. I don't even know what it's called. The second time when I looked at the movie, I tried checking and it didn't say. Not that I know of. And anyways, it was pretty cool that they kind of did this kind of like different aspects to the movie. They just, they give you the perspective of the villain for once, and they kind of tell you, they make you feel bad for Arthur. You know what I mean? Like they make you feel for the guy. Like that's one of the best things they did about the movie. They made you connect with the character, tell you that he's human and that he really doesn't understand society as a whole. And I feel like most of us kind of have that issue that we can't really connect with society as a whole. And with this movie, it was like kind of showing you how this works with Arthur Fleck. And the cool thing is that it just kind of escalates, not extremely quickly, but yeah, it does escalate over time. And upon watching the movie the second time, what I noticed was that the girlfriend, or at least that the neighbor he had, wasn't actually his girlfriend. It was actually an illusion. Now, the first time they did make it very clear in the movie, but I was confused because I thought the scene where he was in her house and then she was asking, "What are you doing here?" I thought that was a flashback. I didn't know that that was happening currently. I thought that was how they met in the first place. And then the second time that I watched the movie, I was like, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." So a lot of the plot holes that I wasn't so sure about in the first time watching it, I saw it again, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, these weren't plot holes. These were mentioned throughout the movie, and I just didn't quite capture that." So to be honest, this is one of the few movies where I can't find anything bad about it. If maybe I think the only thing that I might not have liked, I guess, and it's not even a huge issue, is it kind of escalated just a little quickly when those three dudes at the subway, like, they were messing around with Arthur and he just pulled out his gun and he shot those three guys. I felt like that kind of escalated a little quickly. That's kind of a nitpick for me. What I feel like they should have done is first he finds out that he was adopted. That scene came right after the subway scene. I feel like they should have done that first and then go to the subway scene, and then that's where he would start to do the his use his gun on the subway and this and that. So that was my only major issue. Now, minor issue. And another issue I had was the movie was a little too violent. Now, obviously for me, dude, I'm all for it. You know what I mean? It's a comic book movie. That's what it's all about. It's rated R. That's what makes it great. But I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about for some people, who are not really into horror movies. I'm not into horror movies, but this movie was fine. It's not a horror movie. But some people might not be able to take this kind of tense, music and the this dude getting shot on live TV. Some people might not like that, and that's perfectly fine. You don't have to like violence in movies. And this movie was a little violent. It wasn't too violent for me. But, I'm talking about other people who are more sensitive, so I guess that's a minor issue. It's not really a big deal. But other than that, I would probably give this movie a 9.7 out of 10, or like 9.8. No movie, in my opinion, is a 10. I just think that no movie is like 100% perfect. But yeah, I would say 9.8 out of 10, to be honest. And there's just so much depth in this movie. There's like layers and layers, as I mentioned earlier. Like, they talk to you about society. They talk to you about Arthur's a comedian. They talk to you about how he was adopted. They talk to you about physical abuse. They talk, about how people were in the 70s. They talk about protests and this and that. They give so many like things. They compact so much in this movie that it's just like you have to watch it like at least, like, I'm not even kidding, like 5 or 6 times just to really grasp the complexity that this movie has. And that's why I think this is one of the best comic book movies of all time. Along that list would probably be Infinity War, Dark Knight, and so I feel like I wasn't sure what to expect of this movie. To be honest, I was hyped, but I didn't want to get my hopes too high because I thought, what if this movie isn't good? And I still had my expectations high anyways, and this exceeded my high expectations. My expectations were high, but they weren't that high, and this movie just like scored just 9.8 out of 10. As I said earlier, this was like exceeded my expectations. And the way they handle Arthur Fleck, and they actually make you think that he's a real character, real life. And he could actually exist in the real world. These are people that exist, but, without the whole Joker stuff. But it's practically the same thing. And, what's cool is that they, there's a lot of memorable moments in this movie. you know, like towards the end where he just kind of escapes Arkham Asylum, he messes around with the guards. That's like a classic Joker moment. I've been like waiting for, you know, a Joker moment like that where he just messes around in Arkham Asylum and just escapes again. What I would have wanted to see. Here's another, I guess, issue with the movie is that I would like to see this Joker connected with the future upcoming Batman movie, and apparently that's not going to happen. They're going to recast the Joker, and I feel like he's not going to get a lot of good, you know, reception from the audience. People are probably not going to like this new Joker, and that might be a problem for the future Batman movie. So I feel like if they can somehow arrange it so that this Joker can be in the new Batman movie, that would be like perfect and just spot on. You know what I mean? So I think that's it, guys. Actually, I would like to mention that the way they handled Arthur, and just like he was with his mom, and just like how in the beginning he was like a nice guy, and then but he was very confused. And I like how at the end of the movie he finally got the audience he wanted. You know, I kind of like I just love that ending scene. The ending scene is like one of the best scenes in the movie. It's just like, you know, he stands up and he starts doing his dance, and then you know, they got the Joker gang around him cheering him on to get up, and then he gets up, he does his dance, and he does that smile at the end, and that's basically where the movie ends. And it's just like, wow, dude, this is art. Like, this is like really artistic, in my opinion. This is like one of the best DC films to come out. They, you know, DC is really killing it lately. They got the Joker, they got Aquaman, they got Wonder Woman, Shazam. I mean, these movies are actually like really good movies in my opinion, and I feel like DC is finally getting their, you know, their head in the game. You know what I mean? And that's what's cool about DC. DC, I feel like is not afraid to take the dark routes. You know, they can make more R-rated movies in the future. Batman's gonna be PG-13 for sure. And but I feel like they're still gonna go dark and gritty with it, which is cool. Kind of like how Batman v Superman did. I personally wasn't a fan of Batman v Superman, but I still respect that they went for the more serious tone in that movie. It did help, you know, the whole aspect of the DC. So, anyways, guys, I think that's it for my review. In the future, I'm probably gonna do like a more in-depth analysis of the movie. Uh, you know, not really a podcast, but more of an official video where I have a list of everything about the movie, you know, like one by one, so that I can really help you guys like know why I like this movie, and why other people like this movie. And yeah, guys, so that's it for this video. And if you enjoyed the podcast, if you're not subscribed already, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And that's it for this video. My next video I'm working on is the difference between Thanos and Darkseid, so I hope you stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you next time.